Good evening. The Concord Township Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for February 14, 2024 is now in session. I would like to introduce the board. To my far left is Skip Sweeney and Ashley Garkar. I'm Ivan Valentic. To my right is T.R. Hatch and Todd Goling. To our far right is Heather Freeman, our zoning inspector. Under the advice of our legal counsel, we ask that anyone speaking tonight must be sworn in. If you plan on speaking, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help me God. If so, say I do.
I do.
Thank you. Please be seated. Just a reminder, when presenting your case or commenting, you have to come up to the microphone and state your name and address and confirm that you've been sworn in. Heather, were the legal notices published in a timely manner?
Yes.
Thank you. We have 3 items of old business and 2 items of new business. The first is we need to, the first of old business is appeal number 2018-41. Mr. Randy Viviani of 7757 Concord LLC requests an administrative appeal from the determination by the zoning inspector that a zoning permit and certificate of zoning compliance are required for a new business to occupy a vacant commercial building pursuant to sections 11.01 and 12.01 the Concord Township zoning resolution for the property located at 7757 Auburn Road, Unit 12, currently known as permanent parcel number 08-A-0-20-0-000-036-0. I would like this, we need a motion to untable this appeal.
So moved. Second?
Okay. Since it's open, we have received an email here from Mr. Viviani in regards to appeal number 2018-41. It was sent to Heather on January 17, 2024, withdrawing his appeal, the application. So I know that's been on the docket for a long time, so we've accomplished something.
Good. Barely.
Okay, the next item of old business is conditional use permit application 2023-27. Graph Vector Construction Inc. is requesting approval for conditional use permit in accordance with sections 13.05 to have a commercial center in the planned unit development as required in section 16.07E. This is the property located at the corner of Cryle Road and Hunting Lake Drive, parcel numbers 08-A-020-C-00-002-0. Mr. Victor has requested that we table this. It's already been tabled, so we're going to leave this tabled for this evening. Next is a variance application 2023-142. Ralph Victor Construction Inc. is requesting the following variance for a property located at the corner of Cryle Road and Hunting Lake Drive, parcel number 08-A-020-C-00-002-0. A variance from the minimum 25-foot requirement for natural vegetation to be left undisturbed pursuant to the permanent treatment narrative included as part of the master development plan for Quail Hollow property for Quail Hollow Development Inc. and approved by Concord Township Board of Trustees with effective date of October 8th, 1986 as part of the rezoning of 540 acres surrounding Quail Hollow Inn from R1 residential to R2 planned unit development. And B, variance from section 16.07E2 to permit a counter service restaurant with a drive-through which is prohibited. And C, a variance from section 16.09D to permit 53 parking spaces in lieu of the minimum 80 required. He has also requested that we continue to table this variance application as well, before we can address those next month. On to new business. The first is variance application 2024-143. Michael J. Gray Trust is requesting a variance from section 15.03A6, table 15.03-1 to allow a lot less than 2 acres to have 2 accessory buildings in lieu of the maximum 1 permitted. This is for the property located at 12313 Meredith Lane, parcel number 08-A-002-C-00-003-0. Please come to the microphone and present your case.
Hello, my name's Michael Gray.
I have residence at 12313 Meredith Lane, and I have been properly sworn in.
Thank you.
Sorry for the nervousness, never done this before, so please bear with me. I filed a variance. I had a utility building, garage, I guess you could call it, built this year, and by the rules here under the township, that if you have under 2 acres, they only allow 1 accessory building. There's a small shed. I know on the auditor's webpage it shows it as being a 12 by 16. It's actually a 10 by 16, so smaller than what they show.
I'm sorry, 10 by what?
10 by 16.
Okay.
I measured that. That's what I measured. Now I don't know if they go by the EUs, but that's what I got from the bottom of it, across. So it's a little bit smaller than what it says. It has been there about 21 years. I think it was put up in 2003. It's in very nice shape. It's vinyl sided, dimensional shingles, 2x6 flooring, windows, man door. It's not an ISO by any means. The reason I filed for it was I had built this garage, and I was only allowed 1,020 or 1,024 square feet in this garage. And what had happened was my parents had both passed away recently. They left me a 3,700 square foot home, almost full, 40 years of being married. And I had already had a fully furnished home and all my own equipment and everything else. And I had to build this garage to try to store it for the time being. Really don't have any place to put it. My father was quite a collector of equipment and such like that. And as you can see by the pictures that are that I provided, between that and my wife's parents that had passed away years before, my basement's pretty full. And the new garage, it'd be the picture with, well, as you can see, the utility shed's full with the snow blower, and I have, I had to build shelving and everything else like that. It's organized. It doesn't look like it, but it's all in there. I know where it's at. Same thing with the garage that has the 4-wheelers and things like that in it. As you can see, that's pretty much full. I have 3 children. As you can see, they are into, I like to get them into power sports, get them outside rather than, being on video games and such. And then the garage with the 2 cars in it is the garage that's attached to the home. As you can see, I have industrial racking, and in the back there's a walkie stacker forklift to get everything up in there, and it's pretty much full also. And then the other garage bay you'll see with the 4-wheeler in the boxes, that's the 3rd bay. As you can see, that is pretty full itself.
Where's this one at?
That is the 3rd bay on the house. It's a 3-car garage that's attached to the house. So like I said, the property is also pretty large. Almost an acre and a half. It's like 1.42 acres. It's pretty spread out, as far as that. Also from the street, it is visible from the street right now, but the builder had destroyed a bunch of my pine trees, and those are actually going to be placed back up near the garage. So you actually probably won't even be able to see back there because I'm trying to block all that out anyway. They had piled all the dirt up when they had put that accessory building up. They had piled it 3 feet up onto the pine trees and killed all the pine trees, so those all had to come out. And of course, he didn't replant them. It's going to be on me this year to replant them, and then of course get topsoil. Me and my wife will have that whole area have to be replanted, and the retreat and all that other stuff that goes back there along within the back and in the front lot where they had parked the equipment while they had done all the construction. So a lot of work, but just not a lot of space right now until we can finish going through all the stuff from my parents and things like that, which we've been working on for the past short while. It's just it's hard. 3 kids, sports, trying to get rid of stuff that you don't really want to, but you kind of have to because they were your parents and stuff like that. I mean, it's just that's kind of the hardest thing. I think it's been more than anything to do, but yeah, it's a priority between that and everything else that's over there.
See, I thought you said, correct me, you said it was built this year, the garage?
Yes.
Okay.
The shed that you see that I'm trying to keep this small accessory building. It's a shed that had been there for 20 years. The garage was built this year. The permit was taken out last year, and they weren't able to get to it until this spring. I believe they started March 15th. They didn't finish until December because... so December of 23. December of 20... Yes, 3.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean this year. I'm sorry about that. I keep getting that wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
September of 22 is when the permit was taken out to build it.
Correct.
Yeah.
And they didn't start until the following March 15th, and they didn't get done until mid-December. there were some issues, between me and the builder as far as, the quality of the build and stuff. I tend to be very picky. They had put the cinder block foundation in, and unfortunately the excavating crew that came the next day never let it set up, so it cracked in about 11 different places. So then we had kind of a war going back and forth as far as he wanted to just throw mortar inside of it with some steel rod. And I said, I'm building a brand new garage. It's not going to fly with it being cracked all the way down to the footers. So we had a little hold up there with me getting the Lake County engineers in there, and they actually had him get an engineer drawing and then have to tear it all out. So I think after that, he wasn't too thrilled about that. So he kind of like made it kind of a side, when he had time to do, just because he was pretty upset about having to redo that. But, things happen. I get it. But you just want it done right. There are a few goof ups. If you'll notice, the walls in that garage are double studded. And that's because they had built the ceiling too low to what it was. So they had to figure that out, and they had to, pull all the trusses and then build the walls to where they were supposed to be per the permit.
So did you build the garage for the stuff that you got, or for the stuff you already had?
For a mixture of both. Yeah. The basement, as you can see in the one picture, it's going to be one of the first pictures. You can see the cinder block walls in the basement. But yeah, I basically built it for everything that I had acquired. Not all the stuff that looks like it would be my stuff was mine. My father was quite a collector of lawn equipment and things like that. He was pretty much the same. They were married for over 40 years. My mother was a collector of knickknacks and furniture. You can imagine that house is about 50% larger than my home. And I had to find a way to fit it all in there, because what had happened was, I have a sister. She wanted to close on everything, and I had put the house up for sale. It was located in Menor, near like Champaign and Chivley Court over there. I think you may have, I don't know if you're related to the Valentics that live over there also. But anyhow, I had put the house up for sale on Zillow by owner, and it had sold in less than 24 hours. So I didn't have very much time to have garage sales and stuff like that. They wanted to close on it in 30 days. So I had 30 days to get rid of what I could, which I got rid of all the big stuff, the vehicles, the big equipment and stuff like that, and all the small stuff had ended up at my home for right now.
And when did you get all the stuff?
About a year ago. Yeah, about a year and a half ago. So I've actually gotten rid of quite a bit. So since then, we've gotten rid of 2 more vehicles, a bunch of tractors, some furniture. You would be actually surprised at how much stuff we've actually gotten rid of.
Your original permit for the garage that you built, was there anything discussed about the existing building already on your property?
Yes. My builder, I believe, I was told, may have said that I may need to remove that building because I'm not allowed to have 2 accessory buildings. And he had said that. And I said, that's fine. I'm pretty sure he had said that. There was a lot of miscommunications with this builder. There's a lot of stuff that wasn't said or talked about, but I believe that was. And I was under the assumption that everything was going to fit in this, being organized. It wouldn't be a problem because I'm figuring a 10 by 12. I mean, how much area is that? But I guess at this point, every little bit counts because there's still other things that are still out there, and there's stuff on my patio and stuff like that. And it is a very nice building. I planned, if I was able to keep it, to paint around the windows, replace the man door. But other than that, I mean, it's a very sound little utility shed. I mean, it has a lot of nice things too. Windows, man door, garage door, and all that other stuff. Dimensional shingles.
Do you have any, I guess maybe documentation? Because the documentation that I'm seeing says that it was approved in 22 with a conditional use or a condition that existing shed to be removed.
Okay.
So do you have anything that states otherwise?
I think that's. I mean, I think that's just why I'm here to file the variance. I'm maybe not 100% clear on what you're saying. I mean.
So I have documentation that says you can have the garage.
Yes.
If you remove the existing shed.
Yeah, and I think that may, I shouldn't say may. I don't think that there would have been any issue with that. I think the only issue that I had now where I'm at the point of filing a variance is that everything kind of happened at the end of the year. I'm kind of, and I kind of just don't have the room. So I'm just asking for a variance to.
So if you were okay with it back then in 22,
yes.
Why did you not take it down before you built your garage according to what was said needed to happen?
Well, because I don't think a lot of the stuff that I had was quite over there yet. I think a lot of it was still in storage. I think
Okay.
when I started bringing everything out of storage, and from my sisters, they have a property in Painesville Township. They actually have 5 buildings on their property. It's an older home, so it must have been grandfathered in or whatever a long time ago. So there was a lot of stuff there. I think that when I started bringing things back home, there ended up being a lot more than I had realized that I had to deal with.
Okay.
As far as,
I guess the question is though, the reasoning behind not taking the shed down prior to building the garage, like stated here.
Oh yeah, because the garage wasn't finished until December. I couldn't get anything in the garage until December, which was when we had gone through this, and then the gentleman from the zoning commission had come out and all that stuff and had mentioned it. Not good on your name, I'm sorry. Mike. I should know that because my name's Mike, yeah. And they had come out and mentioned something about it, and then I got a letter. And then I'd come down to the township and said, hey, what can I do? And I'd seen here that I could file a variance, and then I had filed the variance then at that time. But at the time, yeah, nothing was done until December, so I really couldn't really bring much in and bring much over. Otherwise, it would just be out in the yard. There's just a lot of stuff I didn't want to have out there, nice stuff and things like that. So that really didn't go on until around the first week of December, when everything kind of was able to get it in there. I had some problems with the doors and the man door and everything else like that. I believe when Heather came, there was no garage doors on it. Maybe. Do you remember? Maybe it did have the garage doors on it.
I'm not sure what date you're referring to.
I think when you came out and took measurements for it being built, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if that matters anyway.
When did your mom and dad pass?
They passed my mother passed in 2019. My father passed in 2022.
Okay, so when in 22? Because when the permit was issued,
I believe it was it 21 or
September.
22? It was
She can't
January, I
address
believe
the board.
January of 20. I believe it was January of that month. Yeah.
January 22.
So January 22. So 9 months. I'm just trying to check my understanding because I want to make sure I get my timeline right.
Okay.
So dad's gone in January of 22. Permits issued September of 22. Builder starts March of 23. Finishes December of 23.
Correct.
When did the house go for sale?
House went for sale in July. It went in the end of July and sold in August.
So last summer.
Yes.
22 or 23.
22.
Oh, it went in 22.
In 22.
Okay, so the house is gone, been emptied, and all the stuff in between. Where was the stuff? Did it go to your sisters?
It went to my sister's and in storage. Yes.
Okay. All right, I think I understand.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier you're purging most of the stuff, or at least some of it.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. There's no reason to leave my kids with all this stuff. I mean, we've been working on it quite a bit, and I am going to be purging a lot of it. There's a lot more than than what you see in the pictures, obviously. As far
So
as
this long term, do you still see you needing that shed?
I mean, I don't think I would need it long term. I've made for a few years just to get through everything. I mean, it takes it doesn't go as fast as everybody thinks. You can just get rid of everything like that. I mean, I hate to sell it and
Yeah, I think you've had some time.
yeah, and I mean, I don't really, and I think that if I got to the point where I didn't need it, I would have no problem getting rid of it just to have the extra room in the backyard. The main thing is that just right now, I just don't have very much room. Everything's full. My patio's even full. As you can see, the basement's full completely. Bedrooms are, one bedroom's full, and it's just, between that, kids, work, everything, I only have so much time to do it. But I do plan on eventually possibly getting, I mean, if I don't need it, I could get rid of it. My neighbor's actually been bothering me to buy it, so when I would get enough out of it, it'd be really easy just to sell it to him because his shed's in nowhere near its nice condition. His is falling apart, and he was going to be getting a replacement anyway at some point.
I got a question. Oh, go ahead.
This property, I just want to confirm, is part of Lily Farms, correct?
Incorrect. Stanford Springs.
Okay, maybe this is a question for Heather. Lily Farms is...
Lily Farms is due north, directly to the north of
Okay.
his lot.
Okay, so this is a different HOA chiming in than what he's a part of.
Yes,
Okay.
it's an abutting property owner.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that would be for the back of his property, that's Lily Farms.
Correct.
His backyard's back, okay.
Back
Now I
side.
know.
And
Used
it's,
to be
and that's
Dan
Lily's
Lily's
farm
farm.
saying that they don't approve of it, but that's a different HOA than what his property is part of.
Correct.
Okay.
Got it.
Do you have an HOA?
We do.
What does your HOA say about 2 buildings, and have you gone through that proper channel of asking for those variances of what those rules are?
I mean, I haven't. The ladies that are in charge of the HO, I wouldn't think that, I mean, I could, I can go back and revisit this. I just don't think that they would have a problem. Her and, the owner of my company and all of them are very good friends, and, I think that she would allow it. I mean, it's not
So
an
you haven't
eyesore.
looked at the HOA rules if you're allowed to or not?
I don't think it's anything about 2 buildings in the HOA rules.
Have you looked at the HOA rules?
I haven't recently. I did when I moved in.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did when I
So
moved
you're
in.
not 100% sure if you're allowed 2 buildings or not according to HOA?
I'm not 100%
Okay.
sure, but I don't think that would be much of a problem. Like I said, I park a commercial van in the driveways, and I know that's usually not in the things, but you know, that not commercial, but it's my work van or whatever, and I have to do that sometimes because of my work. And that had been brought up once to her. I says, "Hey, is this okay?" And she says, "For right now, yeah, it's we got no problem with that, because I am going to be transitioning jobs here in the next few years, just being on road and stuff like that." So.
On the garage, it's got a pretty high pitch roof. Are you storing anything on that upper like loft area of the garage?
No, sir. It's just area up there and stuff like that. I think I need to get a variance to do that. Is that correct?
I'm not sure.
That'd be something with the county with building permit, doesn't involve us.
Yeah, I just want to know if there was stuff stored up there.
Okay.
Skip, any questions? No. Anything else? Do you have anything else to add?
I mean, no, sir. I've never done this before, so I'm just kind of new to all this.
Yeah, I mean, what we're looking for is a hardship for why you need.
Oh yeah. So yeah.
The variance.
Well, yeah. The hardship for the variances is just that I don't have enough storage on my property. You know, rather than have everything outside under tarps and things like that. The storage building is a very nice storage building. I'm just the hardship that it puts me in is I don't have the room. I don't have the storage on my property. I have a very wide property. I have almost an acre and a half. It's not like it's some of these properties where they have their pool and their pool house and everything's all combined in a small area or anything like that. But the hardship is I just have a lot of nice things that I just I don't have the room to store. I'm just looking for additional storage.
Can you take some of it back to your sister?
She has about as much as she wants to handle right now. I mean, to be honest with you, she's got quite a bit over there too. Her basement's full and everything else like that. I've actually gotten further than she has as far as getting rid of things.
Yeah.
If you can actually believe that or not. I've gotten rid of a lot of the big stuff, a lot of vehicles, things like that, that were over there.
And do you have a storage unit with more stuff in it? Because that's an option.
I do not right now.
Okay.
We pulled it out, because obviously the cost and things like that. It's a lot easier to have some use.
Well, if the shed's 10 by 16, right? You said it's 10 by 16, and if that's all we have to do to come into compliance, I mean, just the stuff that's in the shed, and I realize the snow blower's in there and stuff you need for the yard. The agreement was, in order to build this garage, we agreed to remove the little shed. And that was before post-mom, but post-dad. So we knew that there was a house, we knew that there was stuff in the house, and the shed was agreed to be removed conditionally of building that garage. But then something happened where we couldn't get either the stuff out or couldn't find a place to store it all in between Dad passing and the house being sold. So now we have a problem that we have a shed that we agreed to be removed, but we need that shed to store stuff. So the solution would be get an offsite storage sister or something for enough for the 10 by 16 stuff, or somehow jam it into this beautiful thing here, to remove the shed to come into compliance. Then all this goes away.
What about just maybe given me a chance to have like an extension to have it there at least through the year, and then give a date to get rid of it? I mean that it was just kind of hard because everything kind of happened the middle of December, and it wasn't like it happened in the spring or the summer or the fall. Where I live, my yard is a mud pit. I mean, it's just wet over there until right around July almost. I mean, I can't use my big mower until July because it's so wet over there. Getting a lot of that stuff through and everything else like that, and trying to move a shed. Worst case scenario, I can put it on my buddy's property. Right in Williamsfield, that he has things that we could just use as a cabin to go ride 4-wheelers or do something like that. But if I could just keep it for a predetermined amount of time and then have it gone, at least it'll give me some time to really, really scramble to just get rid of whatever I need to get rid of to just make it work.
So, how much time would you need? And I'm not saying we could consider it, but I'm not saying.
Yeah, no, I know that.
But give us a time frame.
July 31st of this year, it'll be gone.
And then there's stuff outside of the shed and in the yard. I mean,
I'm working on that too. Yes, sir.
Okay.
I am.
So that needs to go somewhere too.
Yes, that's going to go somewhere too.
Okay. I'll be honest. I mean, I gotta see where the dollar goes. I don't have any more questions. I'm struggling with this one, to be honest with you. I kind of get having a lot of stuff, but I don't know if that's necessarily a hardship. But
yeah, I mean, it wasn't. A lot of it wasn't my stuff. That's that was the thing. I guess that's.
A lot of people have garage sales, and everybody handles things differently. But I mean,
oh yeah,
that's
and we were
what
doing that.
A lot of people do.
Yeah, and I had garage sales every week while the house was for sale, and I've been putting stuff on Marketplace, getting rid of. I've actually gotten rid of quite a bit of stuff. You could imagine that. Probably about a 2 or 3 car area of stuff I've gotten rid of.
Do you have a 3-car garage with the existing house, a 2-car garage that you just built, right?
It's 1,000 square feet.
2,000 square feet, and that.
It's 1,020 square feet. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and then the shed, the 10 by 16.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions before we?
I don't have questions.
No. Okay, you can be seated.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else this evening speaking for or against this appeal that'd like to come up? Okay, if there's no further questions, a public hearing for application number 2024-143 is now closed to the public. Can I get a motion to approve variance 2024?
I'm sorry, should we read in the folks that have wanted to voice their opinion but couldn't be here tonight?
I think just stating that we've received
They're
them.
part of the record.
Okay.
They're part of the record.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the variance for 2024-143?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion for the board. Who'd like to start?
I have a question for Heather. Heather, if the variance is not successful, procedurally, what sort of time frame is there involved with it coming into compliance?
Well, I think we would treat that like we would any typical zoning violation. Usually starts out with a warning letter giving a couple weeks to comply depending on what the severity of the violation is.
And then what?
And then it could go to final notice, then maybe the law department might send a letter, and then ultimately we could file a minor misdemeanor in Painesville Municipal Court.
So from the beginning of the failure of the variance to getting it referred to outside counsel is how long?
Well, we don't.
Approximately.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be a couple months. It could be a couple months. Yeah, our goal really is not to take people to court. We would rather work on getting into compliance because it's costly for everybody. So,
I think another question for you, Heather, is if granted with an exception or a timeline of out by July 31st, the shed, if we can do it. The question though is we've already granted a variance with a conditional use once. Or not a variance, we've already granted the extra building with a conditional use once that has not been followed. What would be the next steps within Concord if it's not done by July 31st? The fact that we've already have one that has not been followed.
Well, you can't.
That might be more of a
You can't
question
conditionally
for the-
grant
yeah.
a variance for a specific amount of time.
You
Because once you grant it, it's granted.
Well, usually the variances usually run with the land, right? So they would
Right.
normally go from landowner to landowner. They would normally have no like determination as far as time. However, the applicant did ask for a specific time. As long as he would agree to it, I believe you guys can do variances with conditions. The question is gonna be what if in fact, after, let's say it's July 31st, the shed does not come down. It's now an enforcement issue, just like we would be back to.
So,
Okay, so we're back to square one.
So an extended enforcement is really what it is.
right, so just to I'll try to summarize. If we could grant the variance and say it expires on July 31st, 2024, so then he has that amount of time to remove his belongings and get rid of the shed by that date. If he doesn't, then the zoning department would have to issue, enforcement letters and proceed that way.
Have we already, not we, but has the zoning department already issued letters given the fact that this was approved in December of 22?
Yes.
How far along are we within that? Would we start the process over, or have we already, or are we going to continue with the process that we already started of warning letters?
Well, the appeal suspends or holds in abeyance all of that, right?
Or is that a legal question?
So, in other words, are you asking if in fact you approve the variance with a condition?
No, if we deny it and
Okay,
say,
got
no, we've already done it,
Right.
because this was already,
Right, he's already been cited.
right, and this stuff started December of 22, and you guys have already started letters. Do you continue through that process, or because we're talking about it, do you start the process of a warning letter again?
I think that's really up to the board, if whatever you guys want to do. I mean, honestly, I don't think you have to send another warning letter. The letter's already been sent. I think that is a courtesy, though, to maybe perhaps give him 15 days if in fact the variance dies tonight.
Okay.
Or let the appeal, of course, run through the 30-day appeal period. He could also appeal the denial, right, to the Court of Common Pleas. But we would make that time frame, once it runs, then I think that actually the zoning department could go right ahead and enforce immediately. It does not have to send any more letters.
Okay.
I always try to be reasonable about all these things and considerations, but it's a two-way street. So, okay, so we've been through this, you've gotten some letters.
I got a letter.
We can address him.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's closed.
Okay.
But you can say what you
All right.
want to.
So,
you
I don't
can hear
know, but I do believe that, this is a two-way street as far as respect and being reasonable. And you just need to keep it on a tight leash. So, if it's
Agreed.
31st, I am reasonably comfortable with that, but it's just gotta be administered.
I'm in a different camp.
Okay.
It was a known commodity. It was warned 2 years ago. It should have been gone, according to the paperwork. So, with all due respect to, having a parent and absorbing an entire household is just horrifying. And I'm grateful my parents downsized and got rid of all that stuff. But it's horrifying to think what he's going through right now with, I have all this stuff from 40 years. However, I feel that there's been ample time to not only comply with this, but also get rid of, as I helped my own parents get rid of 50 years full of crap in their house. So it's not a mom and dad just had just passed away 2 weeks ago and now I just absorbed this house. This is 18 months ago this happened. So pardon my timeline math. But it's, to take TR's excellent salient point and go the opposite direction, it's like, it's in black and white. And it was known when the garage was being built.
But it would always have to be gone.
Right.
Right. Heather, how many warning letters have there been issued for this situation?
There were one warning letter and one courtesy letter that I had sent regarding the shed. And
Do you remember the timeline of the courtesy letter and warning letter?
well, the courtesy letter was, I recall, probably summer of this year, of 23 rather. And then once it became very apparent that the garage was finished and they were using it, then our warning letter went out late 23, probably in December. Yeah. So we were trying to give some time, understanding that the building was still under construction, shed was still there, even though it was supposed to have been gone. Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying
Yeah.
December 23 is
Yes.
when the warning letter was?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so then it looks like the variance was filed, I want to make sure I'm reading this correctly, on January 23rd, at least a month later after the warning letter?
Yeah, I don't have the warning letter with me, I apologize, but we probably gave him 30 days to comply with the warning letter, and then he subsequently filed the variance application.
Okay.
Do you have anything else to discuss with the board, Ashley?
No,
No,
thank you.
skip,
Nope.
no. Okay, do we wanna, vote on the variance as is?
Should we go through the Duncan factors first?
Yeah, oh, that's one thing I wanted to.
Okay,
I went to Duncan Factors, and Todd, I have to agree with you. I mean, he's had a lot of time. I understand the situation. I get it. Life happens. But if we push this off until July, I'm starting to think that it's going to be. I've got wet backyard, so I feel for you, and it's going to be a mess in July. Okay, it's better to do it now when the ground is semi kind of hard or frozen. All right, not to tell you what to do, but in terms of the Duncan factors, though, I think the only argument that we can make under the Duncan factors for granting it with an extension is that substantial justice will be done. But that's kind of a pretty lame, because the situation is not dire. Is it uncomfortable and is it frustrating? Yes, it is. But it's not a dire situation. The rest of the Duncan factors don't support the variance. So I agree with you.
So I'm, looking at 160 square feet of stuff, which looks remarkably close to my shed. With all my summer stuff jammed in there. And I purge once a year, but is there a way, as far as hardships go, is there a way to take 160 square feet of stuff and put it in with 1,000? I mean, maybe doing it and slamming the door and hoping it stays closed, possibly, but as far as hardship goes, I think that's something we have to consider by voting.
Agreed.
do you have anything? So, back to the variance, do we wanna add any stipulation to the variance?
No.
No.
Nope.
Okay. Okay. With that, then, the question is on approval of variance 2024-143. Yes vote approves the variance, and no vote denies the variance. Heather, please call the vote.
Mr. Hack?
No.
Ms. Garkar?
No.
Mr. Sweeney?
No.
Mr. Golan?
No.
Mr. Valencia?
No. Unfortunately, your variance did not pass this evening. Thank you. If you have further questions, you could touch base with Heather later this week. Okay, next is, variance application number 2024-144. Philip and Amanda Snyder requesting variances from the following regulations for the property located at 7768 Keystone Drive, parcel number 08-A-00-00-0020-0, sections 31.04B1 permanent pools, both in-ground and above ground, shall be enclosed on the property by a fence of sturdy construction not less than 4 feet in height as measured from the level of the ground where located, which shall be of such design construction as to effectively prevent a child from crawling or otherwise passing through or under such fence. B, section 31.04B2, each gate and such fences shall be equipped with suitable locking devices to prevent unauthorized access. C, section 31.04B4, swimming pool cover is not considered to be a suitable alternative to the enclosure requirements set forth herein. And D, section 31.04B5, temporary fencing shall be erected during the installation of an in-ground pool, which shall not be less than 48 inches in height and shall completely enclose the excavation area. Such temporary fencing shall remain in place until the completion of the permanent structure. Really quick, I'm sorry, Trevor. If you want to stay, you can. I know you guys got the kids. If you guys want to hang out, that's up to you. But if you guys want to leave, we'll give you a second to get out of here. It's up to you. Okay, and state your name.
Philip Snyder, 7768 Keystone Drive, and I was properly sworn.
Thank you.
So today I'm here to advocate for the variance for what I believe to be, from my research, an outdated zoning law that mandates a 48-inch fence around an in-ground pool for child safety. I do want to reiterate that while safety is paramount, it's crucial to acknowledge that there are now more effective and widely adopted measures in place across more than 500 municipalities nationwide, and that number is growing daily. The current zoning law requires a 48-inch fence. It was implemented with the best intentions to protect children. However, times have changed and advancements in pool safety have provided us with alternative, more effective solutions. Many municipalities have recognized this progress and updated their regulations to adopt safer and more modern approaches, such as advanced pool covers. These alternative safety measures not only provide robust protection for children, but also offer a more aesthetically pleasing and practical solution for homeowners. It's essential that we address and accept these proven updated safety measures to enhance the overall safety of our community while respecting and the evolving needs and preferences of our residents. By embracing this innovative solution, we can maintain a balance between safety and practicality, ensuring that our community remains progressive and adaptive to contemporary advancements. Let us not be shackled by our outdated regulations when safer, more efficient options are readily available and widely accepted across the nation. I urge you to consider the well-being of our community, the preferences of your residents, and the proven success of alternative safety measures as we work together on this. It's time to make a collective decision that we not only prioritize safety, but also reflect the progressive and forward-thinking nature of our community. The documents I provided, if you look at this one, this was added late, so it should be loose and not in the packet. This is the code that's adopted through 37 states of the 50. The ISPSC is the International Swimming Pool and Spa Code. Every one of these municipalities, there's 535, have adopted this auto pool cover in replacement of a 48-inch fence. The pool cover is not only safer than a fence. I have 2 children, 2 boys, 4 and 7. They can both climb over a 4-foot fence, no problem. If there was no cover, they could fall in the pool and they could drown. There's no way when the cover's closed, which is anytime we're not at the pool, that they can get in it. It's under lock and key and needs a 4-digit passcode to get inside the pool. They can walk on top of it. It can hold up to 800 pounds. I've walked across it many times, no problem. So the way our property is set up, we live on quite a slope. So we had to dig down almost 4 feet to get to a flat spot in our backyard. If you look at the pictures or the topographical drawing from the pool company, there is a 40-inch retaining wall around 2 of the sides of the pool. So there's only 2 exposed sides. We do intend on putting a fence up on those exposed sides, not to protect children or pets from getting in, but to protect floats and things from blowing out.
What page? Where is that?
And
So this is the topographical drawing that shows the retaining wall.
So the pool's not built yet.
The pool is built.
It is built, okay,
Yeah. Yeah, there's a photo of it finished.
got it.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's just black and white.
So I think I can add a little,
great.
add a little seasoning to this, is because I've been in the pool business since I was 15. Yeah, I got
An
recruited.
expert.
Yeah, but not that I do that now. But my neighbor has this exact cover installed in his pool. It's under key, so you stick a key in, hit it. When the thing is closed, it's locked. You can't open it. There's no way to get in it. You can walk across it. I have a picture of a car sitting on top of one. But to his, Mr. Snyder's point is that our zoning code says you have to have a 4-foot fence because you want to keep critters, kids out. However, this is, I've walked across it. It's just, there's nothing a fence will stop that this thing won't. So, to his testimony that that it's an outdated zoning code, I tend to agree with him. Is that this cover, which I've seen, and this has become the standard now with many pool installers, and putting this in, is seen as a alternative to putting a fence in. Now, a fence, I like a fence. I think a fence looks pretty darn swell around a pool for the reason he just said, for not chasing down your pool balls for running around the yard. But this cover, though, you know, the only asterisk here is what happens when you leave it open. You have a party late at night and the thing's open, so that's where the fence would, that's your safeguard right there. Not that a fence is going to stop it, but if you got some guy stumbling through your yard at 2 o'clock in the morning, they fall into the pool and drown because you forgot to close the cover. I agree, the cover is 100% effective. It's awesome when you close it.
So not only do we have the cover, we also have splash sensors for when we are not by the pool. If our dog, we have a French bulldog. I don't know if you know about French bulldogs, but they just sink. They can't swim. Their mass is larger than their paws can move, so they just sink. So we got the splash sensors in the event that we go inside to grab something and the dog's out there and gets in the pool. We also have a camera that's under surveillance, and it notifies us on our cell phone anytime somebody's near the pool.
I certainly anything can malfunction or the power can go out, but is there a reliability record on these things, or?
Yes, there is, and that's also in here. It goes by the code. The ASTM F134691 standard, which is the industry standard for any sort of pool covers. It's adopted and fostered by top agencies that create pool covers and automatic safety covers.
So this doesn't double as a winter cover. Do you still?
No, there's a winter cover over top of
over
this.
top.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So
So the spring-loaded winter covers on
Yeah, it's a
top of this,
permeable
yeah.
winter cover, so when the snow gets on it, it doesn't sit on this actual cover. And the snow melts, then it gets pumped out, or there's a drainage system
Yep.
from on top of this cover.
Well, I'm gonna agree with what you're saying because I trust what you say. What changed from agreeing to a fence in,
I'm glad you asked this question.
I think I'm scrolling quickly, I think I read June of 23?
Correct.
You agreed to
I did.
more than what
This
the fence
fence
is.
that was on this drawing. When
What
I had
changed you? Or
when I
not
had a
changed,
fence
but-
come out, and they put this drawing for approval, this fence was no longer good enough. Now I need a fence around my entire yard, which I was not willing to do. So I was told that this drawing changed, and there's nothing that changed in the pool design versus this drawing. That was approved.
Let me find that.
I'm
confused with that answer.
yeah.
I was confused as well.
Can you please clarify? So that drawing was approved.
This drawing was approved. This drawing was submitted by Lighthouse Pools and approved.
The one that's in our packet.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
So you can see it's very small, but it says fence. Which is kind of silly because it's a 40-inch retaining wall and there's a 48-inch fence butted up against it. So it really is providing zero safety because it's just a fence that's 8 inches taller than the retaining wall. But this is what Lighthouse told us that we would have to get approval, so that's what we put on there.
Okay.
And then when that changed, and my fence went from being a $10,000 fence
Cool.
to
Hold on. You got just slow down for me.
Okay.
I'm a little slow. So what, when you say changed, what changed?
This was no longer adequate as a fence.
What were you told was required?
A fence around the entire yard attaching to the house and multiple locks on the steps that go down.
And this fence, it's a little hard to see.
Yeah, it's just around the outside of the concrete. And it literally is up against the retaining wall on the, what would it be?
But it doesn't go on top of the retaining wall.
No,
It goes right up to the
it literally will stick up this high above the retaining wall, up against the retaining wall.
What is the grade behind the retaining wall? Let me look at your picture. Maybe it doesn't really show. Can someone walk from above the retaining wall
And jump down 4 feet? Sure.
Yeah.
So this picture, this
That
plan
is the pool. There's no
has
difference.
the fence. Is that on the retaining wall side or no?
It would be on the pool side of the retaining wall.
Okay, so like this picture though has a fence four
it's-
sides around the pool.
No, it does not.
It does. It does. If you can see it, it's very small dotted line drawing. It literally runs against, it says new fence. It runs against the retaining wall on the house side. And then the long side of the retaining wall it runs against.
It got
So there's four sides
dashes
of
and
fences.
dots.
There's 4 sides of fence on this drawing.
Oh, there's 4 sides of fence.
On this drawing, and this drawing was approved in.
It was approved, but then when the fence contractor came to clarify, it was not approved.
Concord said no.
Yes.
Or the fence people said no.
Concord said no.
Do we have documentation of Concord saying no to this fence?
I was just told by the fence company that it would have to be much larger. And he said it would have to go around the whole house.
Okay, so that came from the fence company, not from Concord.
But he came to Concord to confirm.
And there was no email, or it was just a conversation that. Who is your fence contractor?
I don't recall now. One of the local Able Fence or I don't remember.
Heather, is that a rule in Concord that it has to be around the entire property, or is it just around the pool?
No, just the pool has to be completely enclosed by a minimum 4 foot tall fence with locking gates.
I think your issue is because the fence was up against the retaining wall, so the fence was literally only 8 inches tall above the retaining wall.
So, Mr. Snyder, I was never submitted any kind of formal revision to your fencing plan from any fence company. So there's no alternative plan that was submitted to me. I had a phone call conversation with a Shannon Fence who was
Shannon Fence.
potentially going to contract with Mr. Snyder about the fence. They did not have a deal in place, and the contractor from Shannon Fence was just reviewing the zoning and closure requirements with me from just a discussion about what the zoning resolution requires, nothing specific to this parcel.
So the fence in question that was not built, but this layout, talking about it, the 8 inches above, or whatever it is, above the retaining wall, is that a problem within Concord? The fact that it's against a retaining wall that's not?
We don't have any regulations for distance between like a fence and a retaining wall, no.
But it's almost like the retaining wall is the fence.
Right, but it still seems like this plan has a fence on the retaining wall.
It does not, it's not on the retaining
It's up
wall.
against
Then
it.
not on it, but it has it.
It's
it has it on 4
adjacent to
sides. Is
it,
what
yeah.
I'm getting at.
It's near it, but there's no distance. I don't know if there's a distance on here.
But it still has 4 walls.
Well, yeah, because this is the plan that was submitted and what we approved because it met the enclosure requirements.
And so this still meets the enclosure requirements.
Yes.
Okay.
So this was drawn and submitted by the pool company. And I didn't do any of this research until after we decided to put the auto cover in, which was late in the pool process.
So timeline.
Yes,
You got it all approved.
yes.
You had the pool started. You had the fence people come in.
We had the fence people come in once the pool was complete.
And the fence people said, and this is now at this point just word of mouth,
Sure. Yeah, we call it
Said-
hearsay. Yeah,
that the fence was not adequate according to Concord zoning,
correct,
supposedly according to the fence people.
correct.
You personally did not have any communication with Concord saying, we no longer approve this plan and this is bad. You just relied on the fence people saying that.
I assume that
And
the
then
fence people would-
did your own research and got this extra, the safety cover.
Yes, well, we got the safety cover before the fence people.
So the safety cover was always part of your plan, just,
It wasn't, we added it later after we decided to build the pool.
okay,
We wanted to add the extra layer of protection.
with or
For-
without the fence,
for our
that safety
children.
cover was coming.
Right,
Okay, so now fence is still not there, you're asking for,
a variance, yeah.
to just not build the fence in
Yes,
general.
because it is not safer. The code talks about child safety, and the fence is not safer than the auto cover. So what I don't want to be punished for is being ahead of the game. Ohio has already approved this from the ISPCA. It's up to individual municipalities to grant it. So, I mean, furthermore, which we can have another discussion about, is I believe that Concord should follow the ISPCA, PSA, or PSC, sorry, and also do this. The majority of the municipalities that do have this and do use pool auto covers as in lieu of a fence have much warmer weather than us, where pools are used much more than they are here in Ohio.
Yeah, yeah.
And if it's safe there, how is it not safe here?
So do you know, I guess, or is there data available that if you know if anyone locally or Northeast Ohio's, there's a vendor like the cover people, have they told you that someone's been able to get it installed without a fence and approved?
The only municipality in the state of Ohio that allows it at this point is Grove City.
Yeah, grocery. I understand that, but is there? Could you ask, or did you ask?
I mean, honestly, I don't care about anybody else's property except for mine.
No, I mean, I'm just looking for,
I do know that there are half a dozen pools in Concord that don't have any fence or auto cover. And they were grandfathered in, so, it's not safe there. Somebody could drown in one of those pools.
Yeah.
If I put a pond in my backyard, I don't have to have a fence. Somebody can drown in that. This is much safer than all of that.
Yeah. Skip, do you have a question?
Yeah. Had none of this occurred with this mysterious communication where it got back to you that the approved plan was all of a sudden not approved, okay? I still don't understand that, but had that not occurred, would you have a fence up right now?
No,
So you would have changed your mind even though you didn't get any pushback from the
yes,
township? And when would that have occurred?
probably sooner than this.
All right, because what I see going on here is that there's some animosity here.
Well, we got to take the animosity out of this, so to be all due respect, it's all about safety of children.
I understand that, but we have an about face by you, the homeowner, and the applicant, okay? And I'm just trying to get to the bottom of it.
Sure.
Okay? So, and I understand it, and I get it, all right? But I'm just trying to understand it so I can make a proper decision.
Sure.
Here, okay? So you're telling me that had this not been challenged, you still would have gone ahead and got this cover?
The cover was already installed, yes.
So the cover was installed
hold-
for the
hold-
fence?
hold on-
Cover
hold on a
installed.
second.
The cover was installed.
Hold on a
Sorry.
second. Just hold on. You got everything approved, you're ready to go. Okay?
Yes,
Application says in-ground pool fence. All right.
yes.
You went to your fencer and said, go to it. They come back and said, we can't do this, something happened, blah, 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 we can't do it, blah, blah, blah. You're telling me that you got the pool cover installed before that even occurred?
I got the pool cover installed for safety of my children and my dog, yes.
But that's not the question.
Before
I
the
asked you.
fence. Before the fence company even came, yes, true.
So wait a second. You had approval for a fence. You were all ready to go. But then you went ahead and you put a pool cover on.
I put a pool cover on for the safety of my children. Yes.
I'm not asking you why
The
you
answer
did
is
it.
yes.
I'm just saying, I'm trying to get a timeline going here. You got the approval. Okay, I'll put the fence in, sign in the dotted line, June of 23, whenever it was. And then you said, no, wait, I want a pool cover. You did that. Then your fencing company said, we have a problem with the township. Is that, okay, so just so I get this straight.
Yes,
Okay.
I didn't do any research
All right,
as pertained in the packet on the pool cover of how widely used it was and how much safer, well, I knew how much safer it was, but I didn't know that there were municipalities that allowed it in lieu of a fence
okay, so,
before I put the pool cover in.
understood. So my next question is, do we have a picture of this pool cover?
The
I don't even know what it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, it's covered up, but I mean, I can Google a picture of it.
I mean, I'd like to, it's not that I don't trust you,
Yeah.
but you know, you got one municipality in Ohio who's approved it. I've never even seen what this thing looks like. I mean, I don't know if deer can come in and you know, you got a deer hoof and that deer hoofs are
No.
deadly things.
It's
You know, they get
not gonna
stuck in a
go
little
through it.
hole in the corner. Anyway,
It won't go through it.
all right, so if you had a picture, that would be helpful. All right, so my next and final question is, what is it that seems to have been the problem after the original fence was approved? I know we're talking about retaining walls, but I'm not perfectly clear about what the problem was, because you were never told what the problem was. Apparently, you're just surmising what the problem was.
I don't see how, I guess I need to understand to answer your question properly, how that has any bearing on what I'm asking for.
All right, we can take a vote.
Mr. Sweeney, can I offer a clarification?
I mean, I'm just asking, like, it's your question. Tell me why that has a bearing on,
Sir, if you don't want to answer my question, that's fine. If you want to continue looking at your phone and not
I'm
answer my
pulling up the
question,
cover as you asked.
that's fine. I'm just trying. Is that your cover or a cover? Okay.
looks exactly like that.
Okay, thank you. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of this. You know, I'm just trying to figure out what happened, and nobody can tell me.
Okay.
I mean, is
I
it
will-
your
I will-
understanding that this retaining wall somehow created a problem, or was there some other issue that we
Yes.
don't even know about?
There's another issue that you don't know about.
All right, well,
And
why don't you
it's
tell
very
me what it
difficult for
is?
me to explain it because it is an issue with a person that's sitting right here. So Heather came to my house when I wasn't home, and I don't know what was said because it was between her and my wife, but when my wife was talking about where the fence was going to go, she was told, this isn't going to work. You should talk to a fencing company. They're going to know better than I do. But yet, Concord had already approved it, where my wife was telling her where the fence was going to go. So then I started looking at auto covers because now I know that I'm going to be, lack of a better term, in a fight with Concord about the fence. So I started looking at auto covers, and then I started doing research on auto covers, and then I found out how much safer auto covers are than fences, and that leads me to be where I am here today.
Okay, thank you. That helps me. No more questions.
The conversation between your wife and Heather.
I wasn't there, so
I'm not asking what was talked about, and this could either be you answering or Heather answering. Timeline of that. Was that before or after the pool was in and before or after the fencing company arrived to say no?
it was while the pool was going in and before the fencing company.
Okay,
Ms.
okay.
Garhart, the pool was already installed. All the concrete, the retaining walls were done. When
Okay.
I was there, I was doing a zoning inspection on the pool. The open zoning permit gives the zoning inspector the opportunity to go over there and inspect
Yeah.
during a reasonable time. I did engage with Mr. Snyder's wife. She was talking to me about deviating from the fence plan. So the plan, and this is what I think what is missing, is the site plan that Mr. Snyder showed to you, that his pool company put together with the four sides. On paper, it works, right? It meets zoning, it meets all the enclosure requirements. My conversation with Mrs. Snyder was deviating from that plan and asking me questions about maybe doing this, this, or that. And the scenarios that we were kind of talking about didn't provide that controlled access to the pool. There were several areas where someone could just walk right in. And I think what's complicated about their property is there's a lot of different elevations and grades and things like that. So in order to approve a different plan, one, you have to submit some revisions so we could see what that's going to be. But even my conversations with the fence company, which was several months after this, because they hadn't chosen a fence company yet, no one was hired yet to do the work, was trying to come up with an alternative plan that would make the Snyders happy with what they needed to do and that would still comply with zoning.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Sure.
Do you guys have any other questions for Mr. Snyder? Nope. All right. Thank you. You can be seated, sir. Is there anyone else here this evening that's speaking for or against this appeal that'd like to come up? Okay. If there's no further questions, variance application 2024-144 is now closed to the public. Can I get a motion to entertain approval of variance 2024-144?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Open for discussion on the board. Skip. For the
Question
board.
for the lawyer.
Yes, legal counsel, go ahead.
We have a zoning ordinance in place. It's not confusing, it's straightforward, we understand it. We're being asked essentially to abrogate it. Okay? What if, what happens if we do that? I mean, do you guys have to take any action or?
So, I mean, I was gonna ask really quick, is this considered an area variance or a use variance?
An area variance. This should be the Duncan factors.
Right.
Okay.
I believe that's
So a practical difficulty, not an unnecessary hardship. I
correct,
asked-
right, because pools and fences are permitted.
Right.
They're
Right.
just trying to not
Okay.
comply with the regulations.
So I mean, that's what variances do all the time. They actually do abrogate.
I don't know, this seems a little bit more
Sure. Well, there's
black and white, you know.
So this is
It
substantial.
worries me.
Well, it's a substantial variance, right?
Right.
That's one of, we look at the Duncan factors, is this a substantial variance? I mean, it's a very substantial variance, right? Is that fair to say? You're going from
just
offense to
by
no
definition, it's substantial, and I don't know that we have that kind of power. Even though I understand the arguments, I get it. You know, I understand it, but this is a big deal. I think we had one recently that we denied.
Oh,
That was a
the
couple years ago.
The same sort of.
Same
request
exact thing.
In front of this board, yes. I don't know, yeah.
And I felt we had to follow the code because it was so substantial. And I feel like our hands are tied almost. I mean, I don't know, this issue apparently is up and coming, and I get it. But right now, I think legally our hands are tied. Because I don't know that any sort of argument, or at least the arguments that were made tonight, can overcome any sort of hardship claim.
I don't know if legally our hands are tied, but when I look at the Duncan factors,
Procedurally, they're tied.
the one that jumps out to me is that this is a substantial variance request. And so when it is something that's substantial, you have to take a closer look at it and decide if we think it really makes sense. And I'm
Well,
sure
not
if
to
it
mention the
does.
other Duncan factors aren't necessarily met. I mean, this was known beforehand. I
Yeah,
would
this was known.
assume.
This was known beforehand.
It's not going to be a gigantic difficulty, I think, between fence and cover, and just all the other factors aren't met either. But Yvonne, I agree with you. I think the substantialness of this is just makes me nervous. That's what it does.
I do have the same, I think, concerns. I see I've read the things, I see what has been shown of how safe that this cover is, and I'm not denying that. But a rule that you agree to is a rule. And I just really struggle with us going over something that has not been approved by the township in general yet, when it was already agreed upon of a fence. And I like extra safety, that's great. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not denying that his cover, it's a brilliant invention. It's expensive as all get out. Probably, I'm guessing about 10.
20,000.
Oh my
I
God.
wasn't even close. So I've seen it in action. I've actually helped repair one. It came off its track. That was due to install, not to someone getting on it. But you know, where I agree that as a parent, and we've all seen the videos where you see the toddler fall into the pool, and the parents jump in after it, and so he's got the motion alarms on the water, the camera, the automatic pool cover. But what happens when you leave it open? So I think that you know, obviously, like, you're going to be responsible. You're going to close it. Emergency calls you away from your house, and you got to run, and the cover's open now. Then what happens? Someone falls in. There is no fence. Not that, to his point, the kids can scale a fence, right? But you know, his property is off girdled. You walk out of his house, you look left, you see Lake Erie. He's at the top of the hill. He's on a pretty steep incline there. So the chances of people just wandering through his yard is slim to none. Slim just left town. So there's not a whole lot of chance there. But my issue is not with, I think it's brilliant that he did this. It's smart, it's expensive, it's proactive, but the rules as they're written now say you gotta have a fence. And again, to his salient point, as antiquated as it may be, that those are the rules that are written. So do we have the authority to supersede the rules that are written? And which we can say, yeah, it's kind of silly. I like the cover and it could be worth a shot, or it's heck no, we won't do it, and you got to build a fence. So I'm sure it was budgeted in. And fences, we had a guy in here the guy that wanted to build an 8 or 10 foot fence, he was spending close to 20 grand on that fence. So fences aren't cheap either. Now I can't discount that the fence builder didn't see this as an opportunity to upgrade from the premium to the super premium platinum diamond fence, and not tell him that the township really didn't say no to the fence. So, but that aside, you know, is the variance substantial? Well, completely disregarding the fence would be, in my opinion, defined as substantial. However, the replacement, also in my opinion, I think is 100 times better than the fence.
Well,
No, the public meetings closed.
Could we consider tabling it? And have another, because I guess I'd like to see some photographs of it, just to, or maybe even, I mean, I don't know about walk the property, but
That's up to the board, and then you know, if you think it'll help you, I guess.
I tend to like the idea of the cover, but I think it might behoove us all to maybe just have a little better idea what.
Well, I'd hate to tell you to go to YouTube, and but I mean that.
So my concern, not concern, or thought is if the topography of the lot is such that this retaining wall is
Like, could someone fall over the retaining wall? Or?
well, no, could somebody crawl up the retaining wall?
Oh yeah,
Right. So is that almost acting like a fence already?
yeah, for sure. I mean, I see, because I mean, I've cut through his neighborhood once or twice, and seeing the houses on the left as you go down, yeah, they're on a pretty. I don't know the degree of it. How many?
30 feet.
Okay, so thank you. I'm sorry. But with that elevation change, he's got the retaining wall because you got to hold the dirt back. So to TR's point, it's like this. First off, this retaining wall already is a fence. But you know, does our code say, well, you got to build a fence on top of the thing that's already 4 feet up in the air?
But he wasn't even doing that. What we approved was
Was running-
fence in front of that wall.
That doesn't make
Not-
any sense. Why
not
would you
fence
do
on
that?
top of it. I'm just
Yeah.
telling you
No,
what
no, I'm
was
saying-
what
Yeah.
was approved.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't need to see it. I mean, a cover's a cover. I mean, he didn't present anything saying the wall would help stop it, it's his
Well, and I guess that
opportunity
was
to make
my thought with,
his opportunity to make the case, right?
Yeah.
okay.
I feel very uncomfortable entertaining any sort of discussion that includes evaluations of safety. Okay, that is not our role, and I'm not about to talk about it or use that as any basis for any decision I might make.
I'm with Skip on that. I don't feel like I'm qualified to say that this is as safe as a fence would be and put my backing behind something. It may be,
And that's fine.
and this documentation might support that,
support
but,
it, yeah.
but I can't make that final. I don't feel comfortable making that final determination.
I agree with that. It might be safer than a fence.
And-
That's not my expertise, but our rules say a fence.
Yeah.
Even if with all this documentation, maybe it is outdated, maybe it is silly and this is better than a fence. Sometimes rules are a little bit behind.
Yeah, zoning will have to address it, should it be brought up.
That would be a zoning commission, like
And that's
workshop
not
type
our
thing.
role.
Yeah, but
Unfortunately,
we
There's
only have
just-
one township or one city in the whole state of Ohio. I don't know.
And there's nothing, there's everything he gave us, but there's nothing requiring what type of cover and how do we prove that there's this cover and all of those kinds of different factors.
Yeah.
And I was asking, like, that would be great if there was precedent, like, hey, in Rocky River, there's 3 people that got this approved through their zoning appeals board without it, or there's 2 over here, 1 here, or something like that to help us understand that maybe other boards have looked at it and have seen it as that, but there wasn't, that data point wasn't available either. So that's kind of what I was looking for. All right, Stan.
it's clear we have a lag time between the pointy end of the spear here and the early adopters, and I get that. But I have a lot of concerns based upon what our role is as a board. So
Okay, anything else for discussion? You guys good to vote? Okay. Then the question is on the approval of variance application 2024-144. A yes vote is for the approval of the variance, a no vote denies the variance. Heather, please call the vote.
Okay. Mr. Sweeney?
no.
Mr. Hack?
No.
Mr. Goling?
Yes.
Ms. Garkar?
No.
Mr. Valentic?
No, the variance has not been approved. Thank you. All right, next on our agenda is the approval of minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes to discuss and approve this evening. The first is the minutes from December 13th, 2023. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Is there any additions or deletions to those minutes?
My name's spelled wrong.
Could we please get that correct?
Anything else?
That's the thing that kind of jumped out and bit me, was my name was spelled wrong. It's got 2 L's, not 1.
All right, we will get that corrected. Anything else?
Abstaining.
Abstaining?
Well, not on the January one I will, but
December, you're gonna
December.
abstain?
No, December, I was there.
Oh, okay. Okay. All in favor of the approval of the December 13th, 2023 minutes with Todd's name being corrected, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the minutes have been approved. Next is the approval of minutes from January 10th, 2024. Can I get a motion to approve them?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. Any additions or deletions to those, Todd?
I wasn't here. Abstain.
Maybe.
I'm gonna abstain also.
Okay, all in favor of the January 10th, 2024 minutes as written, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The minutes from January 2024 have been approved. That is it for this evening. Our next zoning meeting is March 13th, 2024. The Board of Zoning Appeals meeting is now closed.